Hello, boys and girls. The girl specifically I mean is Orton. Welcome back to this week's Homies Fantasy Football Weekly Recap Show. We are excited to share about what's happened this week, including some trades that have gone down. It's a great week, and for all of that information, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over now to our recap specialist. Take it away, Schmitty.
Thanks, Commission. What's up, guys? Welcome back to our Week 3 Fantasy Football Recap. We're going through all the scores, highlights, and everything that went down in this last week. We've actually got some trades to discuss. We've actually got some trades going down in the league now. We finally got some fair ones coming through that aren't as lopsided as the scores of every team I play every week. So let's get into some of these trades. First one we got is between Patrick and Carlos. Patrick getting Kenny Golladay, Carlos getting Juju Smith-Schuster. Our next trade between the Commish and Will. Will is getting Michael Pittman Jr. and sending over back to the Commish Leonard Fournette. And the final trade between myself and the Commish. Look at Adam getting busy over on the trade side of things. Adam sending over Trey Sermon, myself sending back Joe Burrow. So 3 trades going down in the last week. Things are starting to pick up. We love that constant action in the league, keeping things switched up. But now with that out of the way, let's take a look at some of the action this week with the scores from around the league. Getting into our first matchup here, we've got Patrick taking on Craig. An important one, both teams coming in undefeated at 2-0. And we've got a donut alert coming in out of Craig in his running back 2 spot. Damian Williams from the Bears managing 0 yards. No points at all. Not very promising. But with that, a respectable performance out of the rest of his team. A nice 3-touchdown game from Dak Prescott, getting him 21. A couple of his receivers, he loves his Tom Brady targets. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin both managing to put solid games together in the same week with 18 and 19. Kelsey with 17, Tim Patrick with 14. A couple blemishes in the lineup, but overall not a terrible week for Craig. And moving on over to Patrick, another great game out of Derek Carr. Las Vegas looking good. But other than that, really the only bright spot in the lineup was his Cardinals defense with 15. Other than that, a lot of single-digit performances. Chase Edmonds with 13. You can live with it. Stephon Diggs with just 12. You'd like to see more out of him, but just 7 out of Jonathan Taylor, 9 out of CeeDee Lamb, 3 out of Sterling Shepard. Just goes on in the lineup for Patrick. He did manage to break the century mark, so we don't have to burn him too bad. But overall, not a great performance. Craig taking the win in this one, 114-101. Craig staying undefeated at 3-0. In our next game, we got the Mexican mashup between the 2 Carloses, and this one was a banger matchup. Very, very close, and a lot of really crazy scores. On the side of old Carlos, almost 40 points out of Josh Allen, a banger week out of him with 5 touchdowns. Derrick Henry remaining strong with 19 points. Claypool with 18. Brandon Cooks with 20. Very strong week out of a lot of his guys. And on the other side, for new Carlos, 32 out of Tom Brady. He's still running strong. DK Metcalf with 22. Tyler Higbee with 15. And a couple of them that you can't see here on the scoreboard, but his defense and kicker managing great numbers in points as well. Saints defense with 19. And Chase McLaughlin with 15 points. 15 out of the kicker spot is tremendous, but even with that performance out of the 2 unlikely positions, not enough to push him past. Final score 136-134, a very, very close matchup. Might be panic time here for new Carlos as he falls to 0-3. Our next matchup between Dakota and Matt, this one came down to a Sunday night matchup. Dakota's loving these close matchups, I guess, because they're coming down right to the end and almost resulting in a near tie like they did last week when he played the Commish. We'll start on the side of Dakota. A lot of good performances out of his big-time players. Lamar with 21, you'll take it. Kamara and Alexander Madison getting the start for Dalvin Cook. They get 19 and 22. Jamar Chase continues to be a stud, 22 points out of him, but the lineup really fell off the table quickly after that. I mean, minus Darren Waller and Brandon McManus, I mean, single digits out of the rest of his team. On the side of Matt, and again, some great performances out of the top of that lineup. Kyler Murray with 20, Saquon Barkley finally looking like himself at 21, Edwards Helaire 16, Keenan Allen 19, Adam Thielen 17. And then the bottom of that lineup, again, just starts to fall off a little bit. Kyle Pitts just with 5 points, Latavius Murray with 2, and the San Francisco 49ers defense, which is what brought it down to that final game on Sunday night, taking -1. They allowed 30 points to Green Bay. They just couldn't hold strong against Aaron Rodgers, and it caused Matt the loss this week. Dakota gets another nail-biter win. Final score 121-116. Dakota to 2-1. Matt down to 1-2. Our next matchup between the Commish and the Intern, a banger matchup. Well, at least it was on paper, because the Commish, with all the injury battles, his team struggled this week. I mean, Daniel Jones with a respectable 18, you'll take it. Chris Carson with 16. Even looking down lower in some of the other guys in his lineup, Tyler Boyd, Logan Thomas, and Odell Beckham all with double digits. Not bad performances at all. But Leonard Fournette with just 5, Scary Terry with 10. Not terrible, but you'd love to see more out of your wide receiver 1. Julio Jones just with 7. Overall, just not enough. But even in the best weeks of Adams' play here in fantasy, it would have been tough to match what my team managed to do once again this week somehow. As we look to the other side, and you could just read off great scores for days. I don't know what's gotten into my team this year. Might have to take a piss test with all the steroids these guys are using, because things are just riding high. I mean, both running backs over 20 points. Cooper Kupp, again, still dominating the league with 30. He's loving having Matt Stafford over there. Go figure. Almost looks like the Lions were the problem. I mean, Mike Williams being the supposed wide receiver 2 out there for the Chargers. 33 points again out of him, another stud week. 19 points out of the Browns defense, and hey, I managed to grab a kicker who can do something, Daniel Carlson with 10 points. I mean, I even had 3 guys in my lineup with single digits, but still managed to put up, I can't believe I'm reading this, 175 points, a near 70-point victory over the commish. Adam, I'm sorry to do it to you again. I don't know what's gotten into my team, but for the 3rd week in a row, taking home that weekly high score prize. We're 3 weeks into the season, and I've almost made my money back already. Love to see it. Final score on this one, Adam 107, myself 175. Moving to 3-0, Adam falling to 1-2. Our next matchup, an interesting one that brought in a lot of banter this past week in the group chat between Tyler and Jose. A couple of the guys that love to talk the most. Well, it's time we put the talking aside and take it to the field, or the scorebook. Whatever. A lot of very interesting scores in the lineups this week. We'll start on the side of Orton. 33 points out of Herbert, finally looking like himself this week. Got into a shootout with Patrick Mahomes out in Kansas City. Gibson with 17 after that nice, large touchdown reception he had. Devontae Adams, stud as always, 31 points. And another big spot for him, that Broncos defense with 18 points. It's a shame I can't fit the defensive scores in this thing over here on the side because it doesn't fit, but the defenses were just going off this week, I guess. Very nice week out of Orton. Not bad for a team that is, quote, ass cheeks. Moving over to the side of El Grande, solid week out of Patrick Mahomes, 25. Austin Eckler, very nice week with 22. And out of the rest of Jose's team, I mean, not really a lot. I mean, looking at the kicker spot, once again, having Justin Tucker, who put all Lions fans on suicide watch this last week, with that record-breaking field goal, got him to manage 12 points. George Kittle, nice solid week with 16. But again, a lot of single-digit performances. Tony Pollard just with 7. Tyreek Hill, you usually expect big numbers out of him, but just 9. Robbie Anderson managing just 1 point. And even with the injury on the side of Orton for A.J. Brown, which knocked him out of the game and left him with a donut, Orton still managed to take a very comfortable win here. Final score 140 to 116. Orton finally getting his first win on the year. Jose falling to 1-2. And our final matchup of the week, this is between everyone's favorite member of the league, Will, because of how handsome and beautiful he is, taking on David. And because Will is so handsome and beautiful and the greatest guy that anyone could ever want to be, we're going to start with his side this week. Ryan Tannehill, a respectable 22. Aaron Jones, another solid game out of him with 17. Couple of big spots in the lineup. Najee Harris with 28. Justin Jefferson with 26. All across the board, some respectable numbers out of his team until you get to the defense, which thankfully we can't fit that in here for you, Will, because they put up a -8 spot taking on that high-powered Buffalo offense. Moving over to the side of David, a nice week out of Aaron Rodgers, finally looking like himself again with 22. Down spot with Christian McCaffrey as he suffered that injury this week, managing just 5 points before going out in this game. His backup obviously going to be the top waiver wire acquisition this week, but some other good performances out of David for his team this week. James Robinson with 24, DJ Moore with 20, Cordell Patterson in what was a terrible game for the Bears this week. He managed 16, but with a lot of those down spots in his lineup and with McCaffrey not being able to put up a good performance this week, David unfortunately fell to the almighty Will because we love him so much. Makes sense that Will's name is Jose as my daddy because the genetics must have flown to that huge dong that Will has. That last sentence is probably why I don't get paid to do this. But Will able to grab his first win of the year, final score 135 to 108. We love you, Will, because you're beautiful and a stud and a great guy. We love you. But anyway, that is going to do it for me this week. Before I send you back over to Adam, leave a comment down below saying Will is handsome because we love Will and he's our favorite. And that's going to do it for me. We'll send you back to the commish to bring us home.
Well, thank you so much, Schmitty. What an incredible job you were doing. I'm excited each week to hear what you have to say and how you are going to package up all these heartbreaking losses for me. It's wonderful. Thank you again, and thank you guys for joining us. I just want to say, keep those trade proposals coming, keep the smack talk a-flowing, and most importantly, keep on having fun, because that's what we're here to do. Actually, I'd like to win some money eventually, so if somebody could just tank or give me their best players or... Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Thank you again for joining us for the weekly recap show. We hope you're enjoying yourself. We'll see you next week when we come back to find out how Schmitty took all our money again. So long, everybody.